and welcome back to another of my fly tying tutorials. In this particular video we're going to be looking at a Pheasant Tail Nymph that's kind of a bit more geared up towards the Stillwaters and Reservoirs. It's kind of loosely based on the Montana Nymph, so for those of us who kind of fish Stillwaters and Reservoirs will know that kind of green and black is one of the kind of the go-to colours, and obviously that's what this nymph incorporates. That being said, you can obviously use different dubbing blends for the Thorax, and you can obviously switch between black and natural on the Pheasant's Tail. So we'll kind of get to it. In the vise I've got a size 10 wet fly hook, Barbless Wet Fly hook. You can tie these in a 12 as well. Tying thread for today will be the Unithread 8 in black. So we'll catch our tying thread in just behind the eye, and we'll take our thread wraps rearward until we get to the bend on the hook. Once we get there, we're going to obviously look to add in our pheasant's tail. So come in and trim away that waist piece. So for the tail on this, I'm going to look to add around about 4 to 6 fibres. You don't want too many on the tail. You don't want it to kind of have too bushy. So general rule, we're looking at the length of the hook shank. So what I'll do is I'll tie it in roughly about there, and then I'll take 2 wraps, my thread, and then that will allow me to adjust that tail. So for me that's a little bit too long, so I'm fairly happy with that. So I'll take another turn, which will be my 3rd turn, and I'll take one rearward just to help keep those fibres up before taking my tying thread back up towards the eye, obviously securing those fibres in place. Once you're there, we can come and trim away our waist. So the next thing to add is our rib. So like I say, we have got some green wire being as though it's a Montana themed nymph. So we'll take that back to that point where our tail's been caught in, like so, and then we'll come in with our second piece of pheasant's tail. So this here is going to form the body. So for this I like to add a few more fibres, probably around about 6 to 8, and we can tie those in by the tip. So get those tips aligned, and then we can catch these in like so, draw them back, and then we can secure those as we move our tying thread back up. That one's come out. And what we'll do, we'll secure these all the way back up, but then I'll bring my tying thread back down to about 1/3 of the way up the hook shank. So I'll take that up to there, and then I'll bring it back to about here. That's where our thorax area will be. Now to make it a little bit easier, what I can do is I can then come in and trim away those pieces from the tips of the pheasant's tail. So we'll start to bring these round. Actually what I'll do, so I forgot to mention it there, is I will build up a slight tapering of the body. My tying thread, so I'll start to come down, and each time I come down I'll take a shorter wraps. It just helps to create a tapering of the body, that's all. So with our pheasant's tail now, we will look to create our body. So we'll start to obviously turn that around the hook shank. So if you have a rotary vise, you can obviously use that function. I, in my videos, don't do that, obviously just because some people don't have that function with their vise. So once we're about 3/4 of the way up, we'll trap those fibres in. So I'll take 3 turns in front and 3 turns behind before I come in and trim away those waist pieces. What I'll do now is bring my rib through, obviously the opposite way to the pheasant's tail. So we want to make nice even turns. And like I say, we'll come up to that thorax area. And what I'll do once I get to there, again I'll take 3 turns in front, 3 turns behind before rotating that wire to break it away. So we're on to our 3rd and final piece of pheasant's tail to be added, and this is going to create our thorax cover. So I'll take a few more fibres this time, look to add about 8 to 10 fibres. And what I'll do is we're going to tie them in at the tip, but I'll actually trim away a few millimeters worth just obviously the fibres become a little bit thicker. And then with my tying thread at the back end of where the thorax is, I'll catch my fibres in with a few turns, and then I can come in with my scissors and just trim those back so it's clear of the eye before moving my thread forward to obviously secure those remaining fibres. So what we need to do now is to add our thorax area. So like I say, it is based on a Montana, so for me I've got some lime green dubbing from the guys over at Chuck and Duck, but obviously you can use whatever you feel fit. So add a bit of this on, and as we go on we can obviously add a bit more. It's easier to obviously add a bit more than it is to take it away, so I can add a few more fibres of this stuff, and this stuff's really good because it obviously helps to really give that target point on the fly. So I'll take a few more turns of that before bringing my tying thread back to the eye. I can sweep everything back, and then obviously look to bring my thorax over the top. So what I'll do with this, I'll bring it forward like so, and then with my other hand I'll come on top with my thumb and just press it down. It just helps to spread those fibres across the thorax area. So once I've secured that with 2 or 3 turns, I'll pull everything back, and I'll take another 2 or 3 turns in front. With a nice pair of sharp scissors, I can come and trim away those waste pieces. Okay, then all that's left to do is to obviously neaten up the head area. So I've got a bit of a fibre sticking through there. So build my head up on the fly like so, and then I'll come in with my whip finishing tool and we can add a 4-turn whip. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Trim away the tying thread, and there you have it. So what I'll then do with my Velcro brush, I'll come and I'll just make sure that all these fibres are kind of going the right direction. And for any of the longer fibres that I don't need, rather than actually cutting them with a pair of scissors because you end up with quite a blunt finish, I'll pull those away with my thumb and finger. So all that's left to do on that is obviously add a drop of varnish to the head, and there you have it, the kind of Montana inspired Pheasant Tail Nymph. Really useful pattern to have. Fished obviously part of a washing line setup or even straight lined, but it's kind of a really useful colour scheme to have in a fly. So hopefully you'll get a few of those tied up and they'll perform well for you, and you'll let me know how you get on. All the best, and I'll see you again soon.